friends, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and this week I'm going to show you my finished, or almost finished in this case, because I'll finish it up here in just a little bit, my Ferrari 575M Maranello. This is a Fujimi kit, which is a curbside kit, and I was just doing it for a quick little build and do it a little something different, kind of just to break up the monotony a little bit. And this kit's been staring me in the face, and I really wanted to build it and do it somewhat different. So while I'm moving it around and showing you, the mirrors aren't really glued on, they're just kind of stuck in place. So if they fall off, and I'll probably glue the front tires in a little bit better because they slide off their pins pretty easily. But it's pretty much finished, and then the body isn't glued to the chassis just yet. The only reason I did that is because it's much easier to show you the interior of this thing. But there's really not much to talk about on the underside here. I mean, it's just pretty basic. Just picked out the exhaust and control arms and painted all that. And everything else just semi-gloss back. But right here, there's a gap here, and then once I cinch it down and glue it, it'll hold. There I go, knocking the mirror off, which I said I would do. But they're not really glued in place. But they actually, it's kind of funny that they actually stay, for the most part, without any glue yet. So that's pretty cool. Glass is glued in, but sometimes it doesn't quite line up. Like I shift this over and the third brake light lines up a little better, but doesn't really line up all that well. And then there goes that mirror again. Taillights are done, exhaust tips. It's kind of fun painting those taillights. But she's pretty much done, but the main reason I didn't glue it together yet is so that I can pull it apart here. It comes apart really easily. Just untuck the front, and then the body comes out, and then, you know, just kind of did the underside. You see the glue still kind of dry and a glue that's holding the glass in place. Rearview mirrors in there, and all the black out, and all the trim on the front here, and then the headlights, which were kind of a pain, but they actually came out pretty nice. Most of that's a multi-low pen, and then some turn signal amber back there. And then I put foil on the inside to help it reflect the light a little bit better. And here's the radiator that's screwed in that helps hold it in place. But it's a pretty simple build and a pretty easy build. And really happy with it. So there's the body. But the main reason I didn't glue anything down yet is I can show you the interior a little better. Now the black here is brush painted because I shot all of that in brown. It's just tester's paint that I had that, and then I put some foil back there to do the third brake light, and put the the stoplight red metallic, which also tester's paint, and just detail out the interior and the door panels and the dash, which has a couple of decals, the gauge cluster and the Ferrari emblem. The rest of it's just paint and multi-low, and there's an emblem on the glove box right there. So I figured I would show you all that while it's still apart. And then black out the dash, which was kind of fun to mask this and paint it. But I just followed some reference material and painted it. And did the black carpets and the door panels. So, you know, not a whole lot of detail there, but there's the speakers. But it's pretty decent for the low parts count and building it curbside. So that's how she's looking. And, you know, the wheels on there, got the Ferrari emblems on the wheels, and the logos on the calipers that I painted red. And the steering is posable. Nothing really fancy there, but that's pretty much it for there. I'm just painting. And I almost thought about adding seat belts, but I just built this one right out of the box. I really didn't add any detail or do anything to it. No modifications, just built it right out of the box. So I'll pause this right here, and I will button it all up for the final and finish this video for you. Well, here she is all buttoned up. Put her together, just glued the mirrors on, and then glued the body down onto the chassis. So it's now glued on her solid. And I had to push one of the sides out. One side didn't want to line up. Yeah, such is life, no big deal. I got it on there and got it done. But this is my 575M Maranello from Ferrari that built from the Fujimi kit. And when it came to the 575M, it's based on the 550. If you're a Ferrari fan, I kind of like them mostly for styling, so I don't really read into the specs, but some of the specs do interest me. This car I always thought was beautifully styled. I like the 550, the 575 I liked even more. It had some elements to it that I just really like, and it's just a very sexy body, especially when it's not red to me. Yellow, blue, dark green, just a very, very good looking shape and a body, which is what I really catches my eye when it came to this one. Even though it's a front engine V12 GT car, two-seater. The 575 actually, it's based on the 550, but the 575M is because they stroked the motor, they bored the motor out a little bit bigger. So it displaced 5748 cc or 5.7 liters, so it's a 350 cubic inch, almost. It's like 350.1 or something like that, or point .8. It's a dual overhead cam V12, making 514 horsepower and 588 foot-pounds of torque. So quite a potent car, and it's kind of heavy. It's 3,800 pounds, but it's a GT, it's a Grand Tour is what it is. Pretty expensive at the time. It was close to 200,000, and it was produced from 2002 to 2006. The Super America convertible version came out a little bit later after this. I think it was like 2005 that came out. But a little bit of progression of it. And one of the other things about it is one of the modifications is bigger brakes, 18-inch wheels and tires. It also had some freshened up bodywork to make it just a little bit better. But yeah, they made a stronger motor, a little bit more power, a little bit more of everything. Just tweaked it a little bit, so that's why they call it the 575M. The M actually meant modificato, which is Italian for modified. So it was a modified 550. You could see the roots in it. Very interesting car, and it was a nice, easy build for me. Now, one of the things kind of interesting about this car, a little over 2,000 were produced. Only 248 of them got the 6-speed manual, which is what this represents. It's got the stick in there for the gated 6-speed manual. And I believe it's one of the last Ferraris with the gated manual, or at least in America. I think there was maybe possibly another one, but I'm not really sure. It was the first to get the paddle shifted 6-speed automatic behind the V12. So it was a paddle shift, but and most of them were built in that configuration. So the actual gated manual transmission, very rare with a 248 made. A little over 2,000. Something like 13% of them made that way. But I like the way this one came out. I showed you the lights and how those came out, and I used a black marker to outline the lenses to give them the gasket look, to get the final look there. And then this doesn't quite want to line up. I should have just blacked out the whole top of that, because when I got it glued in place and lined it up, it kept wanting to shift over, and I was having more trouble with the body on this side, getting the molding to line up. So once it was glued in place, it pretty much shifted back over. So kind of just left it and deal with it. Got the decals under the clear there, the Ferrari emblems, the 575M. And I went with the Euro style length license plates, because this is pretty much the Euro version. The US version would have the marker lights on the back and on the front here, which this one doesn't. And it's got the marker light here, which is like the Euro version from what I understand. So even though it's still left-hand drive, so basically, European version as far as, England, where it's left-hand drive there, where the rest of the Europe is pretty much right-hand drive. Quite an interesting build, and it was kind of fun to build. And just so you know, it was Tester's wood color is what I used on the interior tan, because I do get asked what colors I used. And I also used, this was sprayed Tester's Arctic Blue Metallic, the Model Master paint. So that's what color this is, and came out beautiful on this car. It really did. Just stands out, and it's just really sharp. And I think it really complements the look and the body of this. So she's done. She's going to go on my shelf now. Try not to knock the mirrors off. They're glued on, but they stick out and they come off really easy if I hit them. But they are glued on for the final there. So thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed this Ferrari. It's been a long time since I built one, and I've got others in my collection to build. But this one just been staring at me, and since it's a curbside and everything, I decided this would be kind of fun to build. So I just did it in between others while I'm frustrated or fighting with something. I grab something else, and it's like, all right, I want to prime a couple more. And sometimes when I'm doing something like that and I got extra primer In the airbrush, I'll do that. And there's the wheel popping right back off, but it popped right back on. They're on little pins and the little nylon bushings, so they kind of slide off real easy. But thanks again for tuning in and subscribing, and hit that bell button and the like. I appreciate it. And all your comments. It really keeps me going. And let me know what you think. Thank you, and you have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you next Saturday.